Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you are well on today. It is beautiful outside. I hope that you get a chance to come out of your house, young people. Just stand on the porch or stand in the backyard. Make sure you get some sun. We all need vitamin D. I know it hasn't been easy for you guys staying in the house, being on lockdown, and then being transitioning from classroom setting to online learning. I'm praying that God will give you strength and that you guys will keep pushing. So today I'm going to talk about dealing with the loss of a friend. And I don't mean death. I'm saying when you know a friendship is over and you have to move on from that person. That is not always easy. It's not an easy process. People may think it is like, oh, okay, friendship's over and I'm just moving on. It doesn't work like that, especially if you were really attached to this person, right? If you really had an emotional connection, a spiritual connection, it's not easy just moving on and just saying, okay, I'm just going to forget about them. When there is a loss, it's going to be a process, and you may even grieve. I know when I have lost friends, when I knew a friendship was over, or when I needed to move on, or if the other person felt like they needed to move on, that was not easy for me. I didn't get mad about it. I didn't get angry about it, but I was hurt, and that's just the God's honest truth. I was hurt. I was sad because I cared about them. I know they cared about me, but sometimes you have to look at the friendship as a whole, right? Sometimes we just go in different directions. Sometimes the friendship becomes toxic. And when it gets there, when it becomes toxic, it's definitely time to move on. What do I mean by toxic? Meaning, if you're constantly arguing, if constantly, going back and forth about things, you can't get along, that is toxic. And I'm not talking about, physical fighting, because you shouldn't be doing that. But I'm just saying, just arguing all the time, always having, disagreements. You can't come to a solution and it's just so much going on. And then it has you down. It has you changing. Your behavior is all over the place, and your character or your personality begins to change because the friendship is so toxic. That's when it's time to move on. Is that always easy to do? No, because nobody wants to lose anybody, right? God didn't create us to be in isolation. He wants us to be connected to people. He wants us to have friendships. He wants us to be in a relationship. But when it's toxic, right? If it's not causing you to move to the next level in life, if the friendship is no longer challenging you anymore, it's time to move on. And that is a loss. That is a loss. It's not always easy to process that. But if you want to move to the next level in life, if you want to, have certain things in life, if you want to be around people that are going to challenge you and not make you feel less than or not make you feel accepted, it will be time to move on. Time to do an assessment of who you are, do an assessment of the friendship, and then move on with your life. Some move on quicker than others. Some may mourn the friendship a month. Some may mourn the friendship 4 or 5 years. Again, it depends on the individual and how deep the friendship was. So that is my lesson to you today, young people, is to assess who is in your life. Are they in your life for a season? Are they in your life for a reason? Are they in your life for the duration of your life? You have to know that. You have to assess that. You have to assess what's going on in the friendship. Is it one-sided? Are they just takers and they're taking everything out of you and draining you? Or is the friendship balanced? And once you do that assessment of the friendship and do an assessment of what's going on with you, then you can determine if it's time to move on from that friendship. And if it is, you have to do it tactfully. You don't have to I'm just cutting them off that's too much. You can have a nice conversation and a mature conversation with the individual to let them know, hey, I'm not in the same place as you. I love you. I care about you, but it seems like we're going in different directions, or it seems like our relationship, this friendship is becoming really toxic, and it's bringing me to a place that I don't want to be. I'm feeling a certain way about myself, and I don't like that. You can be honest with the person. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be this whole, this full of drama. I'm just cutting them off, and then you going on Facebook and putting it on Facebook and putting it on Instagram and just making them, just making a mess. You don't have to do that, because if you go that route, it shows how mature you are. It shows where you are if you're doing that. So that's my lesson on dealing with the loss of a friendship. It's not easy. It's a grieving process. You will cry. I'm saying if you really cared about that person, you may cry. You may even have sleepless nights, but because it's a connection that's being torn apart. It's a connection that's being torn apart, and that's not